What's in danger here is our freedom of speech.
I had a sentence of 20 months.
On the whole, I think politicians are scared of the climate movement.
Do you have a message to Keir Starmer?
I think Keir maybe could do with having a cup of tea and thinking about his past, like really to sit down quietly and take some peaceful time on his own to really think about where he's come from and what he stands for.
Why don't you stop the traffic right now? Why don't you stop the traffic right now?
Essentially, I think almost 1,000 of us, maybe just over 1,000, peacefully walked along and took a seat outside the Royal Courts of Justice because there's a mass appeal going on about all of the peaceful protesters who have been imprisoned in the UK having taken peaceful action to defend our climate and bring awareness to the critical state of inaction by the government on climate in this country.
There are currently 16 political prisoners, peaceful political prisoners, who are in prison for protesting. The sentences they're having are the most disproportionate we've ever seen in this country. That's beating what us, the suffragettes, had to suffer.
What's happening? They're making an issue and an example. Well, that shouldn't be anything to do with justice. You shouldn't have a justice system which does things which are outrageous just to make an example.
I was on the gantry over the M25 in November 2022 when we stopped the motorway for about 4 days running.
What was that whole experience like? You know, the tag and the prison, and what was it like for you?
The tag was great because it doesn't interfere with anything and it's visible, so people ask you about it, you can explain why you're doing what you're doing. So that's really useful. The prison was a different matter. I mean, I was basically on my own in the prison, surrounded by mostly violent criminals. So that wasn't pleasant, and also the cells are particularly awful.
One of my friends is serving time for throwing soup at Van Gogh sunflowers. You might have heard of that one. It's quite an infamous one. They are serving, I think it was a 2 year and 3 month sentence. And then my other friends or people that I know are currently serving time for planning to block flights taking off at airports. They didn't actually do it. They were just on a Zoom call talking about it. And they got conspiracy charges of, it was up to 5 years.
The judge asked us at the trial itself, and each of us had to say whether or not we wish to participate in Just Stop Oil in the future. I was quite clear to the judge that I will participate in the process because I feel that I have done nothing wrong, that I'm innocent of the charge, because I had a legal excuse. That is that I am trying to prevent much greater harm than the harm caused by stopping traffic on the M25.
Prison is not somewhere, especially where young people want to be. You know, I'm 23, I've got my life ahead of me. It's certainly not a place where I want to end up.
It's just outrageous, I feel. I think this is a human rights issue as much as a climate issue.
It does deter people, of course it does, and that shouldn't be the case. You know, the government shouldn't be able to deter people from standing up. As things stand, I'm sure seeing people get 4 years in prison is having that effect, and that's why we're here today, to ensure that people get proportionate treatment from the justice system.
Some discretion and some humanity should have been applied to those people. It's very brave of them, and I think it's outrageous what's happened. But it's the length of the sentences which has really energised me.
Why do you think most of the media is not on Just Stop Oil's side?
Well, the major media in the UK is owned by a few billionaires who actually don't even live in the country, and all they want to do is to sell advertising, and therefore they have to be on good terms with companies such as oil companies or banks and other companies that push and allow the development of society based on oil. and gas.
We know it doesn't work. So on the same day that Anna and Phoebe were sentenced to, 22 months and 20 months respectively for throwing soup, less than 3 hours later, Phil, Ludo, and I'm so sorry, I've forgotten her name, immediately threw more soup or more Van Goghs, and so we just know it doesn't work. Like Judge Shahir specifically mentioned in his first ruling that he's going to be maximum sentence for maximum deterrence. We know it doesn't work. 3 hours later, there was copycat actions, and last weekend there were completely indiscriminate arrests.
That's true.
So today, 1,000 people turned up. Like, they can try, but unfortunately, our belief and our imagination and our hope and for the justice that this country deserves is way bigger than anything they can throw at us.
Finally, do you think disruptive protests, for example, like the tactics used by Just Stop Oil and then in the past Extinction Rebellion, do you think it's had any kind of impact on politicians and how they view the climate crisis?
I mean, they've been in the pockets of fossil fuel lobbyists for years. I mean, the amount of money that they take from fossil fuel companies now is just outrageous.
Keir Starmer, well, it's a difficult one really. Keir Starmer needs to think about the future of this country and stand up for the rights and for the rights of people and justice for all. And I think at the moment, this prioritisation with growth over net zero, it's just like a falsity. Growth goes into the pockets of the people that are already rich. It doesn't increase our standards of living. If we don't reach net zero and sort of rapidly stop fossil fuels in this country, there's no growth to be had. So I think we really need to start reevaluating what matters in this country, and I think that's what Keir Starmer should start doing.